So Cari, we're just going to be going through a brief of what you're going to be doing for your final summative assessment, which is delivering your lesson, your session plan. So what you've done up until this point, you've done your consultation with the client, you've then gathered SMART goals and things like that, you've planned out a programme which I've passed off as appropriate, so that's good. You've then, this is now the practical side where you're actually going to be taking the client into the gym after the induction that you've taken them through. So the first thing that we're sort of looking for within that would be you cover the main health and safety points as part of your introduction. So you'd be asking them how they feel, if there's any changes in the PAR-Q, if there's anything medical wise or injury wise you need to be aware of. You've got pointing out your fire exits, your water fountains, that kind of thing. Then you'd explain, this is pretty key, so obviously this is now a training session, it's not an induction, so I'd expect you to explain to the client that this is going to be a difficult training session, it's going to be slightly more intense, and then at that point you can maybe bring in Borg scale there, or you can bring it in for your warm-up. It's entirely up to yourself. From that point we'll then go into the warm-up. So what I'm looking for is mobility exercises, so ideally about 2 of those, minimum of 2. Then we'll have the cardiovascular part to the warm-up, the pulse raiser, which we'll be looking for again, that's kind of 5 to 10 minutes, moderate intensity all the way through there. And then we've got our stretches. From there we'll go into the main workout, which for yourself I think is the client's goals resistance training based, so resistance training exercise within there. You'll then go into your cool down. Your cool down will comprise of your pulse lowering phase, so different from the group induction. I'd actually expect to see you deliver the full 6 minutes, Borg scale every minute, that kind of thing. And then we will go into our developmental stretch, which you'll only have to have 1 of, and then 2 maintenance stretches. Okay. So where this differs from the group induction, so we're still expecting, there's a lot of the points on here that relate to the nasty principles, so you're teaching safe and effective exercises for the clients. But then where it differs is that what we'd be looking for within this one in particular would be that you're explaining why you're doing each element. So why do we do the mobility, why do we do the pulse raiser, why do we do the exercises within the main activity. So that's where it's slightly different. However, the same teaching principles are the same, nasty all the way through. Then when you finish up your session, you're going to ask the client how they found it, you're going to gather feedback from them. You're going to, at that point, if the client has any questions, then you'd obviously answer those appropriately. And then what you can maybe do at that point would be to kind of say what's going to happen for, say, the next 6 weeks or something. So we're starting with these exercises in this sets and reps scheme, say. What we're going to be doing in the next 6 weeks is we're going to be progressing this, so it's getting slightly further. If you could tie that in within the consultation, your kind of review phases that I mentioned. On 4 weeks we are going to do this, and we're going to retest you, that kind of thing might be an appropriate way to do it there. And then the last thing is just make sure that you leave the equipment and the environment in a safe place. So make sure you're putting weights away after yourself, but we'd be expecting you to do that as you go through. Should have asked at the start, you're okay with the appeals procedure. You've obviously seen this a couple of times now, and you've kind of had a read through this checklist before I went through it. Okay, any questions at all? Okay, perfect.